Saka and Lokonga, the holding midfielders, with Martinelli, Ødegaard and Saka in front of them. It's Gabriel Jesus that leads the line. Not long until kick-off for this Premier League clash between Manchester United and Arsenal. After losing their opening 2 fixtures, United have now won 3 in a row, finding themselves in 8th place. However, their defensive record at home has been notably poor, keeping just 1 clean sheet at Old Trafford in their last 7 league games. Erik Ten Hag names just 1 change from the 1-0 victory years ago. Despite their impressive form, trips to Old Trafford have rarely brought joy to the Gunners, with only 1 win in their last 15 visits. Mikel Arteta also makes goal, Dalot, Varane, Martinez and Malacia in defence. McTominay and Eriksen the holding midfielders. McTominay and Eriksen the holding midfielders, with Antony, Fernandes and Sancho supporting Marcus Rashford up top. For Arsenal, it's Ramsdale in goal, Zinchenko, Gabriel, Saliba and White in defence. Clash between Manchester United and Arsenal, keeping just 1 clean sheet at Old Trafford in their last 7 league games. Erik Ten Hag names just 1 change from the 1-0 victory at Leicester last time out, as new signing Antony makes his debut. Elanga drops to the bench. Arsenal have won all of their opening 5 fixtures this campaign, a feat they last achieved 18 years ago. Despite their impressive form, trips to Old Trafford have rarely brought joy. So the lineups in full for Manchester United, it's De Gea in goal, Dalot, Varane, Martinez and Malacia in defence. McTominay, Saka and Lokonga, the holding midfielders, with Martinelli, Ødegaard and Saka in front away for this late kick-off in the Premier League between Manchester United and Arsenal. Manchester United in their home kit today, of course, playing in the red shirts and white shorts, playing from left to right. Arsenal in their third kit today, all black, playing from right to left. Already there's an early chance for Manchester United from a throw-in. It falls to Antony, the new signing from Ajax, the only change from their last fixture. Manchester United, he comes in replace of Simon Barlow and Sai. I think we're both on the impression it's going to be a very close game. It's the biggest game that Arsenal to play this season. They've won 5.
But there's certain players that do. I mean, you sign a couple of Man City players. Man City is very good. It's an early cross into the box that's Arsenal defend. Man United, I think the results of the last couple of weeks have been good, but the performances haven't been, perfect.
The ball on these early exchanges, but Jesus done really well to dispossess Martinez. Always been scythed down there by the Manchester United defender. That's going to be
because he's lost possession. He's then got a little bit impulsive and he's given away a free kick in a good area for Arsenal, and he's very fortunate he doesn't get a yellow card, because not only did he give away, which in the end was quite a clinical foul, he's booted the ball away as well.
And it all came about from that opening at the other end where Diogo Dalot, popping up really the right back in the left wing position, was in behind the Arsenal defence.
He did get in behind. At the end there was a packed defence by Arsenal and there was nowhere for him to really put the ball, and he's just got clear from that, and it was a fantastic counter-attack in a way, made into a counter-attack because Martinez given away the foul.
We'll see what comes from the free kick. But Arsenal are lining up here. They've committed plenty forward for it. Ødegaard standing over it. Virtually everybody packed inside the 6-yard box, awaiting this delivery. It didn't beat the first man, who was Bruno Fernandes on the near post. He's able to head it away and out of play on that far side for the throw.
That's a big problem. That's when you get all your big men up and you get everything prepared. You want as a player, you want to get the first thing correct, and you hit the first man. It's not a good start.
Ben White is going to take this throw for Arsenal in towards Martinelli. Doesn't have a lot of room to work down by the corner flag, but he has got the cross in. McTominay heads it partially clear, but it could come again. It's Granit Xhaka whose effort is charged down, and away more decisively this time by Malacia to halfway, where Marcus Rashford will challenge Saliba. Those two battling for the bouncing ball. Saliba will guide it back to his goalkeeper. Rashford will pursue the chase and forces Aaron Ramsdale into early action as he clears it away. It's brought down by Zinchenko, and he leaves Antony on the floor in the process.
Oh, fantastic. That ball must have come down from about 30 to 40 feet in the end. Zinchenko brings it down without even the ball touching the floor, but he takes it inside as well, beating the man. Wonderful play that was.
Barely trained, we understand, this week, Alexander Zinchenko, after missing the last couple of matches with that knee injury, but straight back into the 11. Mikel Arteta making that call today. And Antony has had a couple of training sessions with Manchester United. He refused to train at former club Ajax, didn't play in their last 2 Eredivisie matches before that deadline day move went through, that he certainly played his part in forcing, because Ajax and their coach Alfred Schreuder had made it very clear they didn't want him to leave, but they did get top dollar for him in the end. 100 million euros that move will be worth, 95 million I think initially, and a little bit more to come in potential add-ons, a deadline day record-breaking deal. Thrown straight into the action here, but an early reminder from Zinchenko of the task that he faces, although Manchester United now have a free kick of their own just inside the Arsenal half. It was taken by Diogo Dalot. Touch in there as well for Raphael Varane. Dalot will go all the way back to David De Gea. Love to hear from you wherever you're listening to us around the world today. We know both of these clubs have such great global support. At TalkSport Live is our Twitter address. Let us know where you're listening to and how you think the game is going to go as well. At TalkSport Live, best way to get in touch with us throughout the course of the commentary. This is Antony for Manchester United, taking the pass wide on the right hand side, delivering the cross with the left foot. It wasn't a good one, it was comfortably headed away by Granit Xhaka, but Antony and Manchester United will come again as he slips it down the line in towards Sancho. Diogo Dalot, Antony again, corner of the penalty area, but it's Gabriel Jesus back defending, who takes it off the toes of his fellow Brazilian, only in turn to have his run halted by McTominay.
Oh no, referee.
And now Jesus went down after the ball had gone, and referee Portini has stepped in. I think because there is concern over Jesus, who for a moment was motionless. Appears to be okay, he's still flat on his back. The referee decided he couldn't take the chance there to say it was after the ball had gone when the collision came.
I don't know. I know they have these rulings sometimes, but it's a worry that it does get abused, this one. It gets really abused by the players. And he's done well, Jesus. He's gone back, and that's one thing for him. He does score goals, and he's made goals, but I tell you what, he works really hard all over the park as well. He's made such a difference. You think about the centre forwards they've had over the years, Arsenal, but he's been fabulous already for Arsenal. And we've just seen there, and he's banged his head on the grass.
He's been helped to the sidelines here, still looking a little groggy. His condition will be checked before he's allowed to continue. The decision, of course, is no longer his these days. The former Manchester City man back in Manchester today, but never scored against Manchester United for City in 11 previous appearances, and he has scored against every other Premier League side that he has faced at least twice. Remarkable aberration on his record, really. There's 2 goals short now, though, of a century in his English club career. Gabriel Jesus, 3 and 5 at the start of the season for Arsenal. He's back into the action, and play is back underway with Manchester United on the ball inside their own half of the field. 7.5 minutes in at Old Trafford on Premier League Live. Forward by Dalot towards Antony. It's neatly into his path. Jesus is back defending again on the edge of his own penalty area. Antony tries to take him on. There is support afforded by Zinchenko as well, but Antony has located Dalot. He's delivered the cross. Eriksen is there. Christian Eriksen acknowledges the ball in because it picked him out beautifully on the far post, and he just couldn't quite keep it the right side of the post.
Yeah, I just find that, I mean, it was wonderful play by Antony as well. He's improvised as well. He thought the moment has gone, didn't really want to cross it his right foot, tries to flick it, but he actually misses it the first time, gets it right the second time, goes back to Dalot, just near the touchline. He crosses to the far post, a lovely shaping the ball into the box, and Eriksen's really surprised that he's missed that, to be honest. I'd expected better from him, because I mean he just hasn't connected properly. He's gone past the near post. You'd expect him to at least have gone towards the far post.
He popped up in the perfect position there, Christian Eriksen, but it was from the range at which he struck it anyway, well wide of the target. A little shove from behind. McTominay on the touchline. Referee just wanted a word. I think we're going to see a fair few challenges like that, aren't we, as Arsenal take the free kick quickly. Ødegaard dinking it down the line. Granit Xhaka with the ball into the box, and there was a chance there round about the penalty spot. Saliba up from the back. He has scored already in his Arsenal career at the start of the season against Bournemouth. That was another big chance for him in the box. It was a wonderful chance for him.
Normally someone would have said, I don't think he's washed his feet this morning, but he certainly opened up the club face there, didn't he? That should have been hitting the target at least.
Well wide from the centre-back William Saliba. Now it switches to the other end. Antony keeps it in. Looking for options infield. Finds Bruno Fernandes. Marcus Rashford takes over just outside the penalty area. Cross should be dealt with, but wasn't really by Saka. He took a bit of a swing at that. Didn't divert the path of the ball. Malacia kept it in and finds Christian Eriksen as those two linked down the left. But across steps Ødegaard. He won it well and then has presented possession back to Manchester United. We come again here with Jadon Sancho. Infield to McTominay. Now Bruno Fernandes wide on the left hand side. Couple of paces down the line is Christian Eriksen. He gets it back from Malacia. 2 of the summer signings gone by. Now Rashford with back to goal. Eriksen again. Good little spell for Manchester United if they can pick a way through, but Arsenal have plenty of bodies back in and around their own penalty area. Jadon Sancho trying to force away beyond Ben White, who was having none of it, but the home team still have the ball. Prolonged period of possession here. Rafael Varane, the centre-back now, deep in Arsenal territory, advancing up towards the edge of the penalty area. Wide right is Diego Dalot. He goes back infield to McTominay. 10 minutes in, 0-0. But all Manchester United just at the moment with Malacia looking for options in the middle part of the pitch. Spreads it wide right for Dalot again, who is getting a real run in the team. Going back to the end of last season, 13th straight start for him in the Premier League now, the Portuguese international. As the ball is played forward by Lisandro Martinez to Bruno Fernandes. Jadon Sancho wide left, taking on Ben White. He's into the penalty area, gets the shot away, right-footed. Down goes Ramsdale to make the save on the near post. It's out only as far as McTominay. It never quite sat for him. He was trying to get the shot away. Granit Xhaka was with him, and it didn't open up for McTominay, but Manchester United still have it. Christian Eriksen to Jadon Sancho, and back again as he wards off the challenge of White. Eriksen just slows it down, puts his foot on the ball, assesses his options, finds Malacia tight to the touchline. Christian Eriksen again. Arsenal having to show real defensive diligence and concentration. This is a good spell for the home team.
It is a good spell. Lots of the ball. I've never seen United retain the ball for so long, for quite a while now. Problem is that cutting edge. They're getting to a certain point, and there isn't that edge, there isn't that outlet, that centre forward, even to knock an early cross into the box. They're not looking at it because Rashford is not really playing that kind of role.
Challenge on halfway on Christian Eriksen goes unpunished, and here comes the counter-attack. It slipped through for Martinelli. Gabriel Martinelli scores for Arsenal. Fine first time left-footed finish across the goalkeeper, and the league leaders into the lead at Old Trafford. A 4th goal of the season already in the Premier League for Martinelli. Just like that, He took it wonderfully well. Now Manchester United surround Paul Tierney. They wanted the free kick from a little earlier in the piece. Bruno Fernandes is leading the appeals. It was, I think, for the original challenge on Eriksen, which wasn't given, and how Arsenal here have taken full advantage.
Yeah, well, we're just chatting about ball retention. It doesn't matter about that. The idea of it is actually to make things happen. They didn't make anything happen. And I tell you, he gets caught on the ball, Eriksen, and Odegaard, the first thing he does, he uses his hands to get him over. I don't know if Eriksen has gone down easy, but I'll tell you what, they must be looking at as they do everything at this moment. Everything, but he does look like he's pushed over. He doesn't actually get any contact on the ball when he pushes it.
Well, this weekend has been dominated really by three letters, hasn't it? VAR. And you wonder if this one might well be overturned. It was Odegaard on Eriksen. From that, Bukayo Saka played a brilliant through ball. Martinelli's finish was outstanding, but ultimately it might be academic, because it did look like a foul, didn't it, on Christian Eriksen?
It did. I mean, I've just seen it again. I don't like it all the time you go slow motion, but it's pretty obvious that he pushes him. If he had done that and at least made contact with the ball and come out of the ball, I wouldn't mind, but he doesn't actually touch the ball. It's a free kick, as simple as that. We know 99 times out of 100 when they go there, they are going to change it.
He has come to the monitor, Paul Tierney. He's been instructed to do so by Lee Mason, who was the VAR at Newcastle, I believe, yesterday. This one looks a bit more clear-cut, I think. But let's see what Paul Tierney's conclusion is. We're just seeing it again on our monitors, the replay here. Why
don't they say to him it's a foul? Rather than say, we think you've got to look, just say it's a foul. If you're going to do that, have that in your ear.
Well, I guess with that, it's more subjective, isn't it? Yeah. If it's offside, it's either offside or it's not. When it's a foul, the referee still has the final say. But it did look fairly clear-cut. He is having a good long look, though, isn't he, Paul Tierney?
Maybe too long. I mean, I just saw it, my first replay, and I knew it's a foul. It's as simple as that. He can't give that.
And he hasn't given that. Martin Odegaard is the player penalised. The goal is disallowed. It took a little while, but I think this time we've seen VAR come to the correct conclusion. Not that Arsenal and Mikel Arteta would agree with that. The manager furious on the touchline with a little shake of their head, and Odegaard crestfallen.
The thing about it, though, sometimes the manager got to say to himself, what about if that was me? And they've got pads and iPads and that down there, whatever they want to call them. They can see that. The moment something happened, they see it. He would have seen that, and his fault should have been, if that's on one of my players, I'd want a foul. And I asked the question, did Eriksen go down easy? Eriksen had no choice.
No. And that is the conclusion they've come to on review. So Martinelli's effort, and a fine finish it was, counts for nothing. It is still 0-0 after all of that. 15 minutes in at Old Trafford on Premier League Live. Billy Mack has tweeted us, listening from Kansas City, Missouri. United aren't playing, he says, at the top of their form, but it's Arsenal, so he fully expects a 2-1 win and a happy Stretford end. A touch in midfield for Sambi Lokonga here. So many of you listening to us around the world getting in touch with us. Nate's confidence in Arsenal, expecting a 4-0 victory. We've got Vortex listening on Sirius XM in South Mississippi, heading to the bar to catch the end of the game. Do let us know where you're tuned to us today at TalkSport Live, our Twitter address. We've had the first major talking point of the match, the Martinelli goal disallowed. It was completely really against the recent balance of play, wasn't it? Because Manchester United had been dominant in possession for a good few minutes prior to that, but it highlights, I guess, the threat that Arsenal can pose. And now they've got a free kick. Gabriel Jesus brought down by Raphael Varane.
Yeah, I mean, Varane struggled there. Varane thought he could outstrength him. He just stood his ground, to be honest. And his first touch on his thigh was fantastic. In the end, Varane got a little bit impatient and gives away a foul.
Odegaard again inside the centre circle. Little touch for Zinchenko to Granit Xhaka. Wide left is Martinelli, and Xhaka will prod the ball into his path as he's closed down by Antony, back doing his defensive duties. Zinchenko goes down the line again to Gabriel, and the centre-back will float it forward. It's asking a bit too much of Martinelli, but Varane couldn't take the chance. Side foots that one straight out of play, level with the edge of his own penalty area. 17 minutes into the match. Arsenal winning the last meeting between the clubs by 3-1 back in April. It moved them into the top 4 at the time, but of course they weren't quite able to stay there at the end of last season. Since then they have added the likes of Zinchenko and Jesus, both involved here, but it is Gabriel Jesus that concedes the free kick on the edge of the Manchester United penalty area, despite the fact that Rafa Varane was very tight to him. The decision has gone against the Arsenal man. A bigger decision that has gone against the Gunners so far, denying them that opening goal as Saliba guides it back to his goalkeeper. Ramsdale has come and got there. Ødegaard came off late on in that match with an ankle problem. And Zinchenko returning to the team today after a knee injury. Longer term absentees, the likes of Thomas Partey and Mohamed Elneny in midfield. This is Dalot for Manchester United in the right back position, lofts it long, too far in front of anybody in red really. Rashford was the furthest advanced. Saliba thought about going back to his goalkeeper, leaves it instead for Gabriel to play it forward. Martinelli wins it on halfway, won it well against Diego Dalot, and tries to pick out Saka on that far side. He in turn will take on Malacia. Bukayo Saka goes through the gears, goes beyond the fullback, cuts it back into the middle. Varane got an important touch to it first. Ben White's won it back here for Arsenal. His cross cannons away off Christian Eriksen, who turned his back on it and concedes the corner. Yeah,
that's the first time I've seen Malacia actually outpaced there. Might not have been so much about being outpaced, but his starting position was wrong. He was too square on. He's allowed Saka to get to the byline, which is really, really great place to be if you're attacking, to pull the ball back. Next time he defends, he has to be a little bit wiser how he defends next time, Malacia.
Bukayo Saka showcasing his threat. He scored in that aforementioned 3-1 win in April. He hasn't actually scored for Arsenal since, but now he nearly made something happen for them a moment ago. And here comes the corner kick in left-footed deep towards Gabriel Jesus. He had his angles all wrong. It arrived at him beyond the far post and he steered it wide of the target.
And I mean, they've knocked the first corner when it didn't beat the first man. The second corner comes in from Saka and it's far too deep. No one actually really bent their run. Jesus has tried to make something out of nothing now.
So a goal kick, David De Gea to take. 23rd time that he's faced Arsenal for Manchester United. He's only ever kept 3 clean sheets in this fixture. As the Spanish goalkeeper is going to clear this one away and gets a decent distance on it. In fact, it was over the head of Gabriel. He appeared to misjudge that because Antony was lurking with intent for Manchester United. De Gea's opposite number, Aaron Ramsdale, is now able to gather it up just inside his own penalty area though. He's yet to keep a clean sheet against Manchester United. He's faced them 6 times previously in his career, conceding 14 goals in the process. As Gabriel goes cross-field. Chase on for Ben White because Jadon Sancho was almost able to get to it first, and White, having kept it in tight to the touchline, only did so into the path of Jadon Sancho. A little bit uncertain for both. Now Malacia takes the throw and he goes back into Manchester United territory with Alessandro Martinez, another of the former Ajax contingent who has followed Erik ten Hag from Amsterdam to Old Trafford. Put away by Saliba to halfway. Varane was battling forward against Jesus. Ødegaard just shrugged off the ball by McTominay. Here's Martinez once more, playing it forward, cut out by Zinchenko, who was able to chest it down just before Antony got there. And Zinchenko gets it back again now. Another like Jesus making a return to Manchester. Having been on the fringes of the Manchester City squad with whom he won 9 trophies without ever really becoming a regular. Both he and Jesus finding that regular first team football at Arsenal thus far. Now Marcus Rashford for Manchester United in a central position, pings it out to the right and to Antony, drifting infield onto the left foot, tries to curl one towards the top corner. It will have to go down as a rain setter though, because it was high and wide and didn't come back quickly enough for it.
Yeah, I thought he was hitting that far too early. Xhaka's come towards him, but he wasn't really close enough. I think he wanted to use him to bend it around him, make it difficult for the keeper, but he's hit it too early, wasn't shaped right, and it's gone high wide, and I think it started bending the moment it was over the head of the fans.
A touch for Gabriel outside of his penalty area as we approach the midway point of the first half. 0-0 it remains at Old Trafford on Premier League Live.
It hasn't lived up to the billing so far, has it?
Not
really?
yet. Had its moments, hasn't it? Finely balanced. Arsenal thought they'd scored through Gabriel Martinelli. overturned on video review. The major moment so far. Here is Gabriel Jesus lofting it over the top, over the head of Tyrell Malacia. Just skips away from Saka on that far side. It was a pace or two too far in front of him. No surprise, I guess, that they're fairly evenly matched thus far. Both coming into the game on the back of winning runs. Both about to begin European campaigns for the new season as well on Thursday night. It's not the competition that either want to be in, but Arsenal are back in Europe after last season's absence. They and Manchester United in the Europa League. The group stage is starting on Thursday. Home match for United against Real Sociedad. Arsenal go to Switzerland to take on FC Zurich. But it is full focus on this one first, that is for sure. This very much the priority. Ball is guided back to Aaron Ramsdale in the Arsenal penalty area. Touch for Gabriel just in front of him. Now Lokonga moving swiftly away from Marcus Rashford. Little touch for Jesus. He gets it back again from Saka. Ben White had forayed forward, used him as a bit of a decoy really. Infield instead to Zinchenko. Wide on the left hand side is Granit Xhaka. Back to Zinchenko again. You do see him operating nominally at left back, but often drifting into the centre, something he did at Manchester City under Pep Guardiola, where he previously worked with Arteta as well.
Yeah, so now Arteta will try and do that because he's got a player who knows what he'll be looking for as well, rather than trying to make people do it when they're not comfortable. Zinchenko's very comfortable in that role.
Here goes Ødegaard on the Arsenal right, looking for Saka. Malacia tried to shepherd it out of play, wasn't successful in doing so, and then Saka came across. Lisandro Martinez went to ground, very quickly told to get up again by Paul Tierney, and potentially now the Manchester United counter-attack as Jadon Sancho looked to step away from Saliba's challenge. He was caught, down goes Sancho, out comes the yellow card. It's all going on.
Yeah, that's as good as it's been for a little while. I mean, initially again, Malacia didn't do himself any favours trying to shepherd the ball out of play. Saka takes it off his toe, and then all of a sudden United break away to getting the ball back, and then we see Sancho and he gets taken down by Saliba.
All action passage of play. William Saliba into the book. Started the season as first choice centre back after his return from last season's loan at Marseille. Former Saint Etienne player. Forced his way into the French national team whilst he was playing in Liga last season. 5 caps now for his country. Some thought that he might have moved there on a permanent basis, but Mikel Arteta saw him as part of his plans. He seized his chance at the start of the season, but his job for the rest of this game will be that much more difficult from here with the yellow card to his name. Manchester United just waiting to take the free kick that will follow. 25 minutes in at Old Trafford on Premier League Live. Still 0-0. Ericsson does take the free kick. He goes back to Lisandro Martinez. Little flickers by Bruno Fernandes. Unable to find Rashford with it. Arsenal look for Gabriel Jesus. Holds it up under pressure from Christian Eriksen. Ødegaard in support. Has it here in the middle part of the pitch. Attempted to shift it to his left to Granit Xhaka, and 2 Manchester United players got in each other's way there. Antony and McTominay colliding. Both quickly back on their feet, and now they're back on the ball through Dalot. Bruno Fernandes caught in possession. Challenge on him was by Albert Sambi Lokonga, and Arsenal have it wide left with Martinelli. Bruno Fernandes has actually stayed down here as Jesus is dispossessed on the edge of the Manchester United penalty area by Dalot. Martinez coming under pressure, picks the pass for Antony, and he's going to just nudge it out of play because Bruno Fernandes is still down.
Yeah, normally I expect him to get straight up. I'm sure he will. I think he's just elongated a little bit. I don't know what kind of contact. There wasn't anything really. I'm looking at it again, and does he catch him? He doesn't. No, he doesn't actually make any contact at all with Bruno Fernandes there. And what happens is they carry on playing. Arsenal, you're a man down. That's the bit I don't like. One of his weaker things he does, he keeps going down and expects the game to stop, but what he's doing is he's allowing teams to have an advantage going forward.
Receiving some treatment here, Bruno Fernandes. He had an eventful couple of games against the Gunners last season, didn't he? He scored in the 3-2 home win. He missed a penalty in the 3-1 away defeat at the Emirates in April. 1 goal so far for Bruno Fernandes, the start of the new Premier League season. I think he's going to be okay, but he's certainly taking his time. Never going to be an easy game, this one, for Paul Tierney, the referee. in charge of Manchester United for the 20th time in his career, Arsenal for the 14th time. Has shown 5 red cards in his last 7 Premier League matches, actually, as Paul Tierney. I was looking at the stats before the game. Well, Fernandes back on his feet and waiting now to be reintroduced to the field. He's moving very gingerly as he does so. That should be one that he's able to run off. And with a shade over 27 minutes on the clock, David De Gea is going to get the action back underway. Fine margin so far at Old Trafford this afternoon.
Certainly is. There's nothing between the sides at this moment. In all areas, they're just very, very similar.
Diego Dalot plays it down the right-hand side. Antony attempted to help it on. Returned by Gabriel. Jesus claiming he was pulled back there by Varane in pursuit of that longer ball. Nothing was given. Nobody really has it under control yet. Loose on that halfway. Bruno Fernandes with a touch. McTominay coming under pressure, and it's taken off him by Ødegaard, who picked his pocket, but then Antony nicks it away.
It's just looking at Varane. Varane is struggling with Jesus. He's really outstrengthened him, and the way he uses his body and he shapes his body, you can't get anywhere near him. And Varane is not being patient at all. He's practically he is pulling out his shirt in desperation to stop him, where he should just say, look, you're going to control it, but I'm just going to make sure you're going to pass it backwards, play the way you're facing.
We've seen all season, haven't we, the movement that Jesus brings to this Arsenal team. Varane is finding it tricky to deal with right now as Diego Dalot takes the throw from the halfway line. The Congo goes back to Gabriel, and he in turn will return it to Aaron Ramsdale. Had time to take a touch before spreading it out right-footed to the Arsenal right, and Ben White beat Jadon Sancho to the ball. Saliba coming under pressure from Sancho on the edge of the penalty area, goes back to his goalkeeper again. Again, there was just the time for Ramsdale to take the extra touch before this time the left-footed clearance, and it breaks now for Ødegaard on the halfway line. Gabriel Jesus switching it to the right-hand side. Ben White advancing, and he's covered good ground up to the corner of the penalty area. Support from Saka, tried to play it back in field. It was behind Jesus. It will break though for Zinchenko. Xhaka stands over it because he was aware that Martinelli was beyond him. Martinelli here taking on Dalot, and just denied by the right boot of David De Gea, who had to get down quickly on his post to keep that one out. Almost squeezed in.
It certainly did. I don't know if Martinelli actually really meant that, but I'll tell you what, David De Gea had to keep himself right. That was going in, by the way. That was heading in at the near post. It would have been embarrassment for David De Gea if he didn't save it, but he was more concerned about the ball going across his front.
There's a chance for Xhaka as the corner kick was taken quickly. That's blocked away. Saka scampers after it to return the ball, and he does so menacingly. It was an important touch off the head of Scott McTominay behind for another corner kick.
Yeah, they're having to really defend, and the honest United of maybe last season would have crumbled already on this kind of pressure they're under, because they do look the most dangerous when they're in possession in the attacking third. Arsenal, they've got a little bit more variation, i.e. Jesus.
Corner taken short this time by Martinelli to Martin Ødegaard, and back again. Martinelli swings it in right-footed, misses out everybody in the middle as far as Gabriel on that far post. Tried to touch it back towards Saka, but Arsenal have been forced to retreat towards the halfway line. Lokonga goes longer again. Gabriel has stayed up there. He's going to reach it ahead of Malacia. Did well to keep it in play. Ben White tries to pick up the pieces, but has turned into trouble, as then did Malacia, who overran it. It was a heavy touch from him. Again, nobody's quite got hold of the ball. Martin Ødegaard changes that on the corner of the penalty area in towards Saka. He attempted to return it to Ødegaard. Wasn't the room for that. Christian Eriksen was in the way. And Manchester United partially clear it, only as far as Saliba. Pocket of space here for Ødegaard. Thought about the shot, instead a slaloming run with a drop of the shoulder. He dinks infield. He finds Gabriel Jesus in a central position about 30 yards from goal. Jesus to Ben White on the right hand side. Saka edge of the penalty area. Side foots it first time infield for Martin Ødegaard. Whips that left boot around it. Martinelli's header clawed away from under the bar by David De Gea and cleared by Manchester United. And now a clash of heads, I think, certainly are coming together between Martinez and Jesus, and because Lisandro Martinez has stayed down, and because again there's a suspicion of a head injury, the referees had to blow the whistle. Manchester United were rocking for a moment.
They certainly were. I think with Martinez here, I mean, great save by David De Gea. Martinez has just got himself across there, and the ball has just been kicked to the back of his head, to be honest, and he's just played the game there really, just to get the play stopped as quick as possible.
It wasn't a clash of heads, was it? But it was the spectacular overhead attempt against the high foot which connected. That has brought about the referee's intervention. Both players back on their feet pretty quickly.
Martinez doesn't get his head there, and that's a goal.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, that was a goal. Jesus kicks the ball against the back of his head. That was brave defending. They have definitely got the edge in the final third.
And Manchester United have had plenty of possession, but Arsenal looking the more threatening part of the pitch where it really matters. United can't quite get their game going in that final third. There was another case in point just a moment ago as the pass went astray and Zinchenko was able to guide it back to Aaron Ramsdale. Now Ben White wide on the Arsenal right, takes it in his stride, charges forward, finds Bukayo Saka, drifting infield from that right touchline into a central position. He's still going, he has support from Granit Xhaka to his left hand side. Martinelli takes over, edge of the penalty area, taking on Dalot, prods it infield first time, Varane clears it, Martinelli will chase after it and get to the ball ahead of Dalot, who does have support from Antony. They double up on Martinelli, and they did their job that time to snuff out the threat tight to the touchline.
I must say that the two full-backs, this is the first time they've been tested since this back four has been played so many games. Both full-backs are struggling in wide areas. Malasia's definitely struggling that side with Saka and the movement around him. And then we look at the players in front as well. Antony can't get into the game, and Sancho, he hasn't had enough touches. When he's had his touches, hasn't done enough. No production has come from him at all.
He's on the ball now. It's Jadon Sancho advancing towards the corner of the penalty area. His progress was held up by Saka. McTominay spreads it to Diego Dalot to his right, further wide. On that right hand side is Antony. A couple of little step overs here as he squares up to Zinchenko. But in the end went for the safe option as he played it back down the line. The fancy footwork coming to nothing. Lisandro Martinez on that halfway will return it to David De Gea. 34 minutes on the clock. 0-0 on Premier League Live. Tom Jacobs listening to us in Lake Oswego in Oregon in the US, while smoking ribs and doing some work in the garden. He sent us a lovely picture to accompany the tweet at TalkSport Live, our Twitter address. This is Bruno Fernandes for Manchester United. Late challenge on him, but it breaks favourably for Sancho. Now Marcus Rashford helps it on for Antony. On debut, scores for Manchester United. The new boy announces his arrival at Old Trafford already, with a calm, composed finish across the keeper, in at the far corner, having popped up in the perfect place to finish it off.
Oh, that is, in theory, Arsenal were just having the better of that moment, really, and then United get hold of it. It was a lovely pass. We'll talk about that pass from Eriksen into the feet of Fernandes, which he just cut through everything, and it then puts Fernandes in space. But then when he makes his pass, he gets a challenge on him. It was a lovely pass to find just in the centre circle as well. He gets caught after the referee allows play on, and Sancho gives it into the feet of Rashford, and Rashford plays it out to his right, and he's coming in on his left foot from the right hand side. There was every chance he was always going to curl it across to the keeper's right hand side, and that's exactly what he's gone and done. Good finish, great team play. Their best passage of play in the game so far.
Oh, by a significant margin. The headlines will be written by the man who scored it, Antony, taking 35 minutes to announce his Old Trafford arrival and score on debut, but there was some fluent football in the build-up. Credit to the referee as well, because he did play the advantage a little earlier in the move, which allowed what followed to unfold. And Antony, who they've paid €100 million to bring in from Ajax, has paid off the first little instalment of what Manchester United hope will be many, with a memorable moment for him. And it's so important, isn't it, for a new signing, particularly one with that sort of price tag on his shoulders, to hit the ground running.
Oh, without a doubt. We talked about it earlier. He has to, there's no doubt about it. Expectation from everybody, and when I say everybody, I mean not even United fans. They'll be exactly the same. They're waiting for him to foul at that kind of money. He has to deliver in a way, and it's not just about goals as well.
Did score a couple in his first 3 appearances in the Eredivisie for Ajax at the start of the season, but had refused to train, didn't feature because of that in their last 2 games. He scored on his Ajax debut as well a couple of years ago, actually, and has done so now for Manchester United. They lead Arsenal by 1-0, with a shade over 7 minutes of this first half to play on Premier League Live. They've had plenty of the ball, Manchester United. They've made it count now, but Arsenal will argue that until that moment they'd had the better chances. They'd looked the more threatening. Arsenal yet to drop a single point this season. Will have to do this the hard way. Jesus goes down. Again, Rafael Varane finding him very tough to deal with. And has Varane got away with one here?
Well, he's given away a free kick. He hasn't got a yellow card, but he's been doing that. He's been grabbing hold of him, and he's got to stop doing that now, and he's going to have to mark him and not get involved in the fight with him. He's not winning a fight, so he's going to have to play with a little bit more guile in the way he defends, because his next challenge against him is going to be a yellow card.
He certainly has the experience to do that, but that now's required here as Arsenal look for the response, having conceded in the first half of a Premier League game for the first time all season. Touches by Martin Ødegaard in towards Saka, a little bit of pinball in the penalty area as well. It could have gone anywhere. As it was, the flight of the ball wasn't necessarily diverted significantly, so it carried through pretty comfortably after a couple of touches to David De Gea.
It was, but it was a really good free kick as well. They feinted like he was going to pull it in behind Ødegaard, and he's gone. Saka's come from an offside position, stepped forward just as he ran up to the ball, and he rolls it into him, and he turns, doesn't catch it cleanly. That's why David De Gea had the save worked out quite easily, because there was no great pace off the initial shot.
There goes Marcus Rashford charging forward for Manchester United. He's still going up towards the edge of the penalty area. 3 defenders went with him, and in the end Rashford got in a little bit of a tangle, and it just clipped his heel and bounced away, and Arsenal bring it clear. Only the 5th goal that they've conceded in the Premier League all season. The last 4 they responded with a goal of their own within at least the next 8 minutes. If that pattern is to continue, they could well be back level by half time, but it's a big if here at Old Trafford. A real test for the Gunners today of this winning start to their season. Antony's goal separating the sides. It could be such a significant strike in every sense. We've got 6 minutes now of this first half to play. Manchester United aiming for a 4th win in a row in the Premier League for the first time since April of last year. They have won only one of the last 8 meetings against Arsenal. Granit Xhaka has it here just in from the touchline. Gabriel taking over in front of his own penalty area, squares it to his right for his central defensive colleague Saliba to stride forward a couple of paces. Not too many options immediately available in front of him. A little bit of a standoff in shoes, but Zinchenko's made himself available inside the centre circle, and Jesus has done brilliantly to turn away from Lisandro Martinez. Jesus is still going. Martinez gets back to him, gets a foot in importantly, but it's kept in play by Ben White on that far side. Now Martin Ødegaard just outside the penalty area. Eriksen is with him. Ødegaard still has it, prodding it forward into the path of Saka. Gets it back again beautifully as they work the 1-2. Ødegaard's progress held up by Martinez though. Now White, he will deliver the cross, hoists it high right-footed. Granit Xhaka nods it down into the danger area, where Christian Eriksen had the time to let it come down and clear from round about the penalty spot, where Rashford's battling for it midway inside his own half of the field. There has certainly been a response from Arsenal here. Rashford has stayed down. Manchester United back on the ball. Not for long though. Bruno Fernandes gave it away with a back heel. He was looking for Eriksen. It was unnecessary from United, and it could be costly here because Arsenal have it with Martinelli advancing towards the penalty area. Blocked off as he attempted to get his pass away, and now Rashford all of a sudden is back on his feet. He's back on the ball. And he's found Antony to the right. Down goes Bruno Fernandes, and that will be a free kick round about the halfway line. Just takes a little bit of the sting out of the situation. He was caught by Martinelli.
At the moment in time, Man United's big problem is that Arsenal get into the byline far too often. They're just getting in areas, and it's the end bit at the end, their execution, that's cost them in the end, because they're just it's getting in there. They're not connecting with the ball across. Otherwise, this could be a different scoreline. But the fullbacks have really got to stop it. I think Sancho has got to get on and just help Malacia just that little bit more on that side. If he's not doing a good job going forward, then he's got to help out defensively and start building his game from there.
And that's another little stoppage here because of the period of treatment that is ongoing. There's all chance for reflection heading towards half time. The tweet in from Richie: if a decision can't be made within 30 seconds, then it's not clear and obvious, but VR's the best thing ever when favouring your team, he says. It's certainly been the big talking point across the Premier League weekend, hasn't it? Arsenal having that one disallowed earlier in this first half. Gabriel Martinelli's goal chalked off on review, and Antony then scoring for Manchester United. It's his strike that separates the sides. Rashford is waiting to come back on after that treatment. Play is back underway with Diogo Dalot taking the free kick on the halfway line, sweeping it out from right to left towards the far side of the field, where it just runs away from Jadon Sancho, the midweek match winner for Manchester United, with that goal against Leicester City, his second of the season. Manchester United's top scorer as a result of that. Going to be left for Ben White to take the throw. Ødegaard has offered him the option by coming short. An option declined initially by White. He's taking his time here. Not a lot of movement elsewhere for him, so he will throw it infield towards Bukayo Saka. Martinelli got a touch inside the centre circle. He was then caught. Referee saw it, but has waved it on because Arsenal have it. And they do have it now in dangerous territory down that right-hand side, with Gabriel Jesus just holding it up. Goes back infield to Sambi Lokonga. And now Granit Xhaka. Everything ahead of him. Xhaka in the central part of the pitch. Last couple of minutes of the first half coming up here. Saliba inside the centre circle. Forward for Martin Ødegaard. Down the line in towards Jesus. He helps it on for Ben White. White will drill in the cross. It brushed off the boot of Malacia, and it will be cleared by Martinez over the head of Marcus Rashford, who couldn't reach it round about the halfway line. So as a result of that, Arsenal will come again. Saliba able to scamper after it, pick up possession again, combines with Gabriel at the back. Touch for Sambi Lokonga, and now for Martin Ødegaard. Challenge laid down to the Gunners here. Zinchenko again has it inside the centre circle. It's become a fairly frequent theme. He's found Ødegaard. Wide right is White. Spent most of last season at centre back, but he's getting forward from full back at every opportunity. And now Bukayo Saka on the left boot, spinning to try and strike it. He didn't do so with any degree of conviction though, and it was wildly off target.
Yeah, again Arsenal getting a lot of the ball. There's a lot of progression in that attacking third, but I'm just watching when they're building from the back. I'm watching Marcus Rashford, and he's walking around. The ball's going within 5-6 yards. I haven't seen him force a sprint just to try and see if he can put him under pressure. At one point, even Fernandes has run past him to go and close someone down. He's just got to do a little bit more.
Well, he got the goal against Liverpool, didn't he, Marcus Rashford? But otherwise, in terms of numbers, his productivity hasn't been particularly impressive. It was against Arsenal where he announced his arrival in the Premier League with those 2 goals on his debut in this division, February 2016. Hasn't scored against the Gunners since, actually, in 13 further appearances. He's on the charge here, acknowledges the intent to find him, but the pass just skipped away from him. It was a little overhit, and Ramsdale had read the danger. He was quickly off his line to ensure that he got there first. Last minute now of the first half. Zinchenko goes back to Gabriel. And we'll find out very shortly how much time there will be to add on at the end of the half. Saliba taking the pass from Ben White, closed down by Rashford. And we will have 3 further minutes from here. Majority of that probably for the VAR check, actually.
Yeah, must be.
Now Saliba to Jesus on halfway. Granit Xhaka dispossessed by Scott McTominay. Christian Eriksen tried to feed that into the run of Jadon Sancho. It was cut out by Lokonga. And now Ødegaard driving forward again on halfway, taking on Christian Eriksen. He's backpedaling. Saka wide on the left-hand side has Malacia at his shoulder, claiming the free kick, which has now been given. Manchester United for a moment thought they'd won the ball, but he's done so unfairly. Portin is given the free kick.
Just seen Malacia, he got as close as he could there, did not want to allow him to turn and get a run at him, which is great work, by the way. Now understands it, the strength of the player he's up against, and he's trying to deal with it early.
Erik ten Hag's first signing, Tyrell Malacia, when brought in from Feyenoord earlier in the summer. Full straight start for him in the Premier League. He's conceded the free kick here. Ødegaard will take it, looking to dink it down the line towards Saka, but he's just run out of room. Now it's Bukayo Saka as the ball bounces once and goes beyond the byline. You can see what Arsenal were trying there, not quite able to orchestrate it as intended.
Again, Malacia had kind of read what was happening that time. Didn't start the game very sharp. Suddenly realised he's in a defensive battle for the first time. Almost playing 1 against 1 up against Saka.
So halfway through the 3 added minutes on Premier League Live at the end of the first half, Manchester United leading Arsenal by 1-0 on a day when Brighton beat Leicester by 5 goals to 2. Now here's Antony. It's his goal that's the difference. He's attempting an audacious one here. He did spot Ramsdale a few yards off his line, and from wide on the right hand side on the left foot he deliberately diverted that towards goal. Ramsdale was able to get back and gather it up. It, I think, would have just missed the target anyway, but it showcases the confidence that Antony has brought to this team. Brought with him from the Eredivisie. It wasn't far away. Some quick thinking from him, and he has the ball back here on the halfway line, neatly able to bring it under control. Pings it forward first time. Too far in front of either Rashford or Bruno Fernandes. But he certainly has that ability to beat a player. He has that ability to do the unexpected. We've seen flashes of that already in this first half.
Yeah, it's going to take a while. A lot of it to come. I mean, getting the goal was definitely giving him a bit of confidence. He's trying a few different bits, but there's still plenty of work to do. He's not integrated yet with the rest of the players.
Only had a couple of full training sessions with them, hasn't he, prior to this debut today. Arsenal here, press and probe. Gabriel trying to tee up the shot from range. It's blocked by Varane. Ødegaard trying to return it, put a bit too much on it. Gathered up by David De Gea, and that will do it for the first half at Old Trafford. It is Manchester United who lead here, on course as it stands for a fourth straight win in the Premier League, thanks to a goal on debut for the deadline day new signing Antony, wasting no time at all in making his presence felt at Old Trafford. Wonderful team goal that teed him up, but Arsenal disappointed that a goal of their own from Martinelli was disallowed on review. They are continuing the protest to referee Paul Tierney actually after the half-time whistle here, and those discussions will go on, I'm sure. But at the break, it is Manchester United 1, Arsenal 0. You are listening to Premier League Live.
Got an unquenchable thirst for sport? Get up to speed with the day's biggest sports stories with the Talk Sport Hit. Crammed full of the latest team news, big match previews, and discussing the day's hottest topics.
An improvement week in, week out.
Plus, get all the latest results and full fan reaction to the biggest events in world sport.
It's a wonderful goal!
Satisfy your thirst for sports news with the Talk Sport Hit. Subscribe now on Acast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Previously on White and Jordan.
People are going to turn around and say this is all saccharine and sentiment.
I know about sentiment. What's saccharin?
Saccharin is a sweet way of looking at the world.
I thought it was a soluble aspirin.
Comment, conflict and confrontation.
By God, it was eventful to say the least of it.
You look at this and say, some celebrations are better than others.
Disagree to disagree.
Is it not a courtesy thing, though? Is it not a matter of courtesy?
Oh, yeah, because football's full of courtesy.
Are you serious?
I'm absolutely serious.
Jim White and Simon Jordan continues weekday mornings from 10 on Talk Sport. Talk Sport Breakfast, the only breakfast show worth getting up for. Talk Sport Breakfast with Laura Woods and Ali McCoy. Updated, upmarket, up with the lark.
What just happened there?
Talk Sport Breakfast, Monday to Wednesday morning from 6 on Talk Sport.
Mariella Meets on Times Radio. Listen to the podcast from Times Radio, where Mariella talks to a host of big names from the worlds of politics, entertainment, culture and the arts, including Dame Joan Collins.
A reporter said to me, what are you going to do if this all ends? And I said, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. One of the things you have to know about fame is it ain't gonna last.
Mariella Meets on Times Radio. Listen for free on the Times Radio app.
TalkSport Drive, weekday afternoons from 4 on TalkSport. Unrivaled, opinionated comment from the biggest names in sport.
Join me, Andy Goldstein, and TalkSport Team Drive.
A tower of sporting power in the afternoon.
Adrenaline-soaked, seat-swapping high-performance radio where horsepower meets goal power.
TalkSport Drive.
100% nationwide coverage.
Weekday afternoons from 4 on TalkSport.
The fastest football on the way home.
TalkSport Drive.
Hey, it's Brian Dunseth, former Olympian and current SiriusXM FC host. Do you need more than your average recap of the weekend in soccer?
Sorry, America, but it is the biggest sport in the world.
Well, look no further than Weekend in Tackle. This podcast is all about stories we want you to know, from the most important on-the-field moments to the lighter side of the beautiful game.
You were jumping up and down like a lunatic. That's 7 beers before the game for you.
It's all on Weekend in Tackle, available every Monday, wherever you stream your podcast or listen on the SXM app, included with most subscriptions.
But Antony has located Dalot. He's delivered the cross. Eriksen is there. Christian Eriksen acknowledges the ball in because it picked him out beautifully on the far post, and he just couldn't quite keep it the right side of the post.
Really surprised that he's missed that, to be honest. I'd expected better from him, because I mean, he just hasn't connected properly. He's gone past the near post. You'd expect him to at least have gone towards the far post.
Challenge on halfway on Christian Eriksen goes unpunished, and here comes the counter-attack. It slipped through for Martinelli. Gabriel Martinelli scores for Arsenal. Fine first-time left-footed finish across the goalkeeper, and the league leaders into the lead at Old Trafford. A 4th goal of the season already in the Premier League for Martinelli. Just like that. He took it wonderfully well. Now Manchester United surround Paul Tierney. They wanted the free kick.
It's a free kick, as simple as that. We know 99 times out of 100 when they go there, they are going to change it.
He has come to the monitor. Paul Tierney's been instructed to do so. Martin Ødegaard is the player penalised. The goal is disallowed. It took a little while, but I think this time we've seen VAR come to the correct conclusion. Now Marcus Rashford helps it on for Antony. On debut, scores for Manchester United. The new boy announces his arrival at Old Trafford already, with a calm, composed finish across the keeper, in at the far corner, having popped up in the perfect place to finish it off. And it is that debut goal from Antony that is the difference at half-time at Old Trafford. It's that one moment of quality really in attack, Paul Parker, from Manchester United that has made the difference for them so far.
Just that one bit. Arsenal have definitely shown more ideas in the attacking third of Manchester United, but it was important that if they did get the opportunity, they went and took it, and they did go and take it. Marcus Rashford's only good bit of that game was putting that pass through to Antony, put it through the legs, I think, of Zinchenko, who had overcovered, to be honest, and left him on his own. So when he goes and faces up to the goalkeeper, just by the way he set his body up, the keeper couldn't have saved that unless Antony got the connection completely wrong. I think United have had a little bit of a bonus. I think the game is really, if they go in at 0-0, would have said, yeah, that's fine. But United got themselves in front. It's about what they're going to do next. Well, how are the players going to react to this now? Coming out at half-time, 1-0 up. Are they going to still keep things going steady, or are they going to open up too much? On the other side of it, Arsenal have got to add a little bit more to their game. Defensively, they don't look that solid, but as attacking side with Jesus there, he's a difference from Arsenal of last season to what they are this season.
They have had that threat in attack, haven't they? And they thought Arsenal had gone 1-0 in front as well earlier in the first half. It was a fine finish from Martinelli. It was a good through ball from Bukayo Saka, but just prior to that there was a foul by Ødegaard on Eriksen. It wasn't given at the time. It was on video review. We've seen it again at half-time. You felt it was fairly clear-cut. Still think that way?
Yes, I do. Initially when I saw it, I thought to myself, has he gone over easy? And no, there was 2 hands on him by Ødegaard, and as I said earlier, he didn't get any connection on the ball. If he'd come out and got his foot in front and come away with the ball, we might have said he was just too strong, but because of the push and he actually doesn't get anywhere near the ball, you know that it's a foul. It's as simple as that. There's no argument. There can't be any arguments with that, obviously, unless you're an Arsenal fan.
They were continuing the arguments, weren't they, as the teams headed down the tunnel, actually, at the end of that first half. And there's a fair few Arsenal supporters getting in touch with us as well, who aren't happy that goal wasn't given. But we touched on it. There has been enough of a threat from Arsenal in the first half to suggest they are more than capable of turning this around yet.
Oh, exactly right. That's the bit that concerns me about United now. The back four, playing together for the 4th time. This is the biggest test they've had so far, especially in wide areas. And we know as Jesus has already caused a problem for Varane. Varane, in a certain way, it's fortunate that he hasn't had a yellow card, given that with persistent fouling, persistent pulling of the shirt, and wrapping his arm round him. But I just think then he just maybe needs to speak to Ten Hag about the way they're defending against him, and don't have to win the ball off of him on the first occasion. Just be that little bit more patient with him, because he's a very, very clever player.
Do you think that despite the fact Manchester United are the team in front, maybe Ten Hag is more likely to change approach a little bit in the second half?
I don't think how he can. I don't think there's a lot he can really do there. They're quite strong in that way in midfield. They've still got the 2 players sitting in front of the back 4. There's not a lot he can do up front unless he brings on Ronaldo, which I don't think he will at this moment in time. I think he can
we'll see him at some stage.
Yeah, I'm sure he will, yeah. But I just think he can ask more of Sancho and Rashford. Without a doubt, those 2 can do more. attacking wise and even defensively. They've got to work that little bit harder now defensively, just to stop the ball going into wide area, especially on that side where Sancho is. He has to do more to help out his fullback.
And just a final word for now on Antony. We touched on it at the time we were talking before the game, how important it is that he hits the ground running, and it couldn't have gone much better for him on a personal level so far. No,
exactly right. Scoring that goal has made such a difference. Think about him coming for the money he's coming. You look at Sancho. Sancho never done that. Didn't come in. We haven't seen that kind of. He's got this arrogance and belief in his own ability. You can see it by his manner. He's got this. I call it an arrogance, but it's a good arrogance to have, because if you don't believe in your own ability, you've got no chance. And he's actually saying, he tells himself how great he is, and he's gone and proven that in the way he's finished and how he's conducting himself through the game. And we saw when he's tried to that shot from a distance as well. What he's tried to do. There was not many players would have tried it. He shouldn't have tried it, to be perfectly honest, but he did. So he's already set a stall out already, and the fans have grabbed a little bit of him already.
Gives a little glimpse into his mindset, doesn't it? His goal, the difference at half-time. Manchester United leading Arsenal by 1-0 was one result from earlier in the day in the meeting between Brighton and Leicester City. We can get the details from our commentator, Alex Crook.
Brighton 5, Leicester 2, a result that leaves Brendan Rodgers surely facing more questions about his Foxes' future, as Leicester failed to win any of their first 6 matches for the first time in their Premier League history. It started well for the Foxes, with Kelechi Iheanacho slotting them in front inside 54 seconds, but a Luke Thomas own goal, coupled with Moises Caicedo's second Brighton goal on 15 minutes, saw Brighton quickly take the lead. The visitors back on level terms, courtesy of Patson Daka's fine one-on-one finish 12 minutes before half-time, but Brighton simply took control in the second half. Leandro Trossard put them in front for a second time on 64 minutes before Alexis McAllister converted from the penalty spot, and it was the Argentines' brilliant long-range free kick that capped the victory for the Seagulls 7 minutes into added time. It finishes Brighton 5, bottom club Leicester 2.
So that all over early at half-time at Old Trafford. Manchester United lead Arsenal by 1-0. The second half comes next. You are listening to Premier League Live.
Previously on White and Jordan.
Well, we didn't budget for this money. Surely we want to give it to our lesser cousins. Yes, and the moon's made of cheese, right?
Clash of the Simon.
The modern day fairy tale today in English football almost inevitably involves money.
There's no such thing as a no-score draw.
But this will be an exercise in goodwill. Something that the Premier League is bereft of.
How biased is Trevor? Sort it out. Seriously, sort it out.
White and Jordan.
The nation's primary destination for a triple distilled opinion and blistering debate.
Weekday mornings from 10 on the world-famous Talk Sport.
Times Radio.
I'm Mariella Frostrup. Join me as I talk to renowned guests about the worlds of culture, lifestyle and entertainment,
including Sir Michael Palin.
Python's always been, I think, a nice mix. It's about human behaviour and what we do and how we sort of mess ourselves up.
And Werner Herzog.
When you look at family romance, it's a deeply humanistic film. It is a very essential of my films.
From auteurs to icons, artists to activists, join me, Mariella Frostrup, for the radio show dedicated to exploring the ideas that shape our times.
Mariella Frostrup.
Monday to Thursday afternoons from 1
on Times Radio.
Stories of our times from the Times and the Sunday Times.
One agenda-setting story told in depth by experts.
I'm Manveen Rana.
I'm David Aronovich. Go beyond the headlines with original quality journalism and exclusive interviews.
What happens in the next year may define this country for the next 40 years.
We take you to the heart of the stories that matter. With exclusive access and reporting, you'll hear from the best and most informed journalists from the UK's most trusted newspaper. It's published for the start of your day, and you can listen for free on the Times Radio app or wherever you get your podcasts. Just search The Stories of Our Times.
John Pienaar at Drive, Monday to Thursday afternoon from 4 on Times Radio.
We're going to be talking about the news. We're going to be discussing it and explaining it.
Join John Pienaar for the Drive Time show dedicated to the news that matters and the views that need to be heard.
I'm going to give people the time and space to tell us what they think, and I'm not going to tell you what to think. I'm going to help you make up your mind.
Trusted news, insight and opinion that speaks for itself. John Pienaar at Drive,
4 to 7, Monday to Thursday
on Times Radio.
Hey, I'm Brian Dunseth from SiriusXM-FC. Every Monday, join Tom Rennie and me as we go all around the soccer world on our podcast, Week in the Tackle.
Enter our private circle.
From the significant...
There is a lot of reason to think they're going to win this tournament.
...to the absurd.
This little car comes on, like...
We cover the soccer stories we find interesting on Week in the Tackle. Available for free on Stitcher or your favorite podcast platform.
You're listening to TalkSport's coverage of Manchester United against Arsenal from Old Trafford. I'm your host, Phil Blacker. Alongside me is the former Manchester United defender, Paul Parker. This is Premier League Live. We are almost set for the start of the second half. Manchester United leading by 1-0. Antony scoring on debut 10 minutes before half-time. His goal the difference. Arsenal had one disallowed on video review for a challenge on Christian Eriksen that went unpunished at the time, but was later brought back. Gabriel Martinelli had gone on to score for the Gunners, but that one didn't count. So Antony's goal means Mikel Arteta's team will have to come back from behind if they are to maintain their winning start to a Premier League season. Top of the table at kick-off. They will remain that way whatever happens in this second half, but they have the opportunity today to stretch further clear of Manchester City. He dropped points for the second time this season yesterday. The Gunners trailing by 1-0 as they get the second half underway. It is Gabriel Jesus that does so. Let me remind you of how they line up. Manchester United with David De Gea in goal. He might be required here because right from the restart, Arsenal on the attack with Ben White down the right-hand side. Combination of he and Saka just running out of room as the assistant referee puts the flag up. Jadon Sancho going down. So back to the lineups. Dalot, the right back for Manchester United. Martinez and Varane in the heart of defence. Malacia on the left. Eriksen and McTominay in midfield. Antony, the goal scorer. Bruno Fernandes and Jadon Sancho in support of Marcus Rashford. Arsenal with Aaron Ramsdale in goal. White, Saliba, Gabriel and Zinchenko the back four. Sambi Lokonga alongside Granit Xhaka in a midfield pivot. Bukayo Saka, Martin Odegaard and Gabriel Martinelli in support of Gabriel Jesus, who has been heavily involved so far. He's back on the ball here, actually trying to chest it down. Cut out though inside the centre circle by Scott McTominay. Manchester United in the red shirts, white shorts, black socks from right to left in this second period towards Jadon Sancho. Rashford tried to let it bounce, didn't really have the time to do that. It was taken off him by Saliba, and now Bruno Fernandes has conceded the free kick almost on the centre spot. Interesting to see how the second half unfolds. Paul Parker, if Arsenal can respond, there's from their point of view a perceived sense of injustice that they'll be trying to fuel their forays forward in this second half, and this is one such occasion. Maybe it's Zinchenko. Granit Xhaka able to turn as he cut the ball back. It was behind Gabriel Jesus, and it is cleared by Malacia to the halfway line.
And that was far too easy for him to cut into that Manchester United defence. They got in the box, and it was only just Martinelli's poor pass in the end that cost Arsenal getting an opportunity at goal. That was far too easy.
Early warning signs since the restart. Saliba on the ball here for Arsenal. Squares it to his left, and for Gabriel. Third season at the club for the Brazilian centre-back. 41st consecutive start. He's been a stalwart in that position for them. Saliba alongside him this season. Ben White shifting to the right, which is why Tomiyasu has lost his regular role. Seen him fairly frequently at the start of the new campaign off the bench, and that might be the case again today. Plenty of options in reserve for Arsenal, who advance here with Zinchenko. Martinelli takes over and takes on Dalot. Edge of the penalty area on the Arsenal left. Thinks it back in field. This is Gabriel Jesus. He's into the penalty area. Varane stood his ground. Dalot still under pressure from Zinchenko. Has kept it in, but couldn't locate Martinelli with it. Valiant attempt to do so. Ultimately it's out of play on that far side, but it's a high tempo start to the second half from Arsenal.
It certainly is, and Jesus is involved as well. His ability with the ball at his feet when he's dribbling as well is absolutely fantastic, and everything is coming through him. Already I'm going to call him Arsenal's Player of the Year.
It's an early call, but he's the player of the first few weeks. Yeah. That is for sure, and very much the promise to build on that particular platform from what we've seen so far. Giving them an extra edge in attack this season, that is for sure. They have the ball inside the centre circle here. Bukayo Saka taking over, cutting in from the right hand side. Malacia backpedaling, Sancho helping out the defence as well. Saka back heels it where he was looking for White, but Malacia had read the danger. He got a touch to it. Sancho brings it clear. Ball is behind Marcus Rashford though. Combination of first Saliba and then Gabriel able to intervene on the halfway line. Granit Xhaka out to the left hand side and Gabriel Martinelli. Back down the line Zinchenko. Infield to Albert Sambi Lokonga. The Belgian international getting his opportunity because of injuries to others in the heart of the Arsenal midfield. He's on the ball again here. New summer signing Fabio Vieira waits for a debut on the bench again, having missed the start of the season through injury, the former Porto player. This is Saka. Nudges it back infield for Ben White. He will stand up the cross into the penalty area. It's headed away by Raphael Varane as far as Sambi Lokonga. Just shifts it to his left and Zinchenko. All Arsenal so far in these first few minutes of the second half.
I think we can remember United were a bit like this, wasn't they? Having a lot of passes in midfield and then just running out of ideas, and that's the difference between the two sides. Arsenal have got a few more ideas than United.
Christian Eriksen pinging the pass out wide right. One former Ajax player to another, and it just escapes Antony on the touchline this time. Spent just a couple of seasons in the Eredivisie after a move from Sao Paulo, and they will get a chunk of change as well, the Brazilian side, because they did have a sell-on clause in that deal.
That's maybe one of the reasons why they wanted the fee as big as possible.
95 million euros rising to 100 million. That's played hardball because they had precious little time, of course, to bring in a replacement. They've got a Champions League campaign to come themselves, which starts against Rangers actually on Wednesday. They were desperate for Antony to be part of that. They did sign Lucas Ocampos on loan on deadline day from Sevilla. They gave him Antony's number 11 shirt. That shirt wasn't available at Manchester United, so he's wearing 21. His goal, the only goal so far, with 5.5 minutes of the second half played on Premier League Live. Arsenal back on the ball, but back inside their own half of the field again. Manchester United try to keep the pressure on a little bit higher this time, but there is space for Lokonga to work it wide, and there's room as well for Martinelli, able to chest that down, takes on Dalot into the penalty area, goes around Diego Dalot, who committed to the challenge, got something on it, required support from McTominay to get it clear. It's a heavy touch from Dalot as he tries to bring it further away from trouble, but did just about enough there, and now Antony takes over. Snapping at his heels was Zinchenko, and Arsenal have won the ball back. Granit Xhaka to Alexander Zinchenko. And Gabriel on halfway. Saliba to his right is Ben White. And they're going to go all the way back actually to Aaron Ramsdale, who's a few paces in front of his own penalty area. The challenge laid down to Arsenal as they attempt to find a way through. Going back to the end of last season, it is 6 Premier League victories in a row for them coming here. Since Unai Emery's reign have they won 7 in a row. Sequence that ended in October of 2018. Gabriel Jesus is in behind here, and there's a big chance for Ødegaard. He scuffed it, didn't really make any sort of contact with the ball with the left-footed shot. Still the danger maybe though. It's back in towards Saka. He's brought it down beautifully away from Malacia and flashed it across the face of goal with plenty of power. And then caught. He's gone down, holding his left ankle, as the ball missed that far post by the merest of margins.
It was far too easy. Those two opportunities were far too easy. They got there. The marking, I mean, just seen there, Malacia got taken there. He comes in late after the shot's been struck by Saka. I didn't see any great contact there for him to react the way he's reacted. But then the miss by Ødegaard was, again, he was opened up his foot far too much. And from a shot where he should 100% be hitting the target, it could have been on his way out for a throw-in from about 8 yards out.
Yeah, it was a wonderful opening for Ødegaard. He does have 3 goals in the Premier League already this season. Saka's still waiting to open his account. They both had major chances in the last few moments. Just seeing a replay on our monitor of the Ødegaard one. It's not one that he will want to see again. And then Saka did well, but got away from Malacia a bit too easily, really. And maybe, if anything, it was the landing that has caused the injury issue.
Yeah, 100%. He's got to turn around. Xhaka's trying to get a penalty out of it. He's trying to say something after, but sometimes I think he needs to go and have a look at it.
There's a conversation currently going on between Gabriel Jesus and David De Gea. Saka on his feet on the touchline. going to come back on. Forlorn look on his face because it was another chance that got away for Arsenal. His last goal remains that goal against Manchester United in April. Play back underway with the home team on the ball inside their own penalty area. Malacia getting it back from Lisandro Martinez. They were rivals in the Eredivisie last season. Martinez was Ajax's Player of the Year under Ten Hag. Malacia was at Feyenoord in Rotterdam. Martinez actually the Player of the Month for Manchester United at the start of the season. As Arsenal go back to Aaron Ramsdale, helped on by White, looping header towards the halfway line. Gets it back from Ødegaard. White's continued his run. Saka in support, prods it infield to Gabriel Jesus, lays it off first time for Bukayo Saka. Now Martinelli, corner of the penalty area. Martinelli towards Zachary, left it, and Saka will reach it and hoist the cross onto the top of the crossbar. As it turned out, and it bounces behind. They were queuing up underneath it to try and turn it in. Jesus and White were there, but neither were afforded the chance to do so. Yeah. Again, it's a nearly but not quite moment for Arsenal.
That's all right. Saka's come more into the game now. First half he was a little bit quiet, started off quite bright. This half he's been better, quite integral in everything they've done so far in their attacking as a team. And that cross in the end, he just gets it. In theory, he doesn't really get enough on it to pull it back. He's hit it too straight, but that was great play by Arsenal. United are struggling at this moment in time.
10 minutes of the second half played, still leading by that Antony goal to 0 on his debut, but it's a slender looking lead right now. Arsenal back on the ball in Manchester United territory. Ben White wraps his left boot around it, but has overhit that. Sails beyond Jesus and through to David De Gea. Stage of the game you suspect where potentially both bosses might be thinking about changes. Malacia coming under pressure from Saka. Gets the throw. Arsenal are furious about that. They felt it should have gone the other way. Gets the ball back from Christian Eriksen, and now Lisandro Martinez once more. His form with Ajax forced his way into the Argentinian national side. There's a touch for Jadon Sancho. Marcus Rashford shrugged off the ball a little too easily maybe by Saliba. Ramsdale coming under pressure but is able to complete the clearance. It's returned by Varane on the halfway. Saliba up against Sancho in the air, got his head to it. Now Ben White is underneath it. Martin Ødegaard goes in field to Albert Sambi Lokonga, and Arsenal try and build from the back this time. Gabriel advances a couple of paces forward and out towards that left hand side. Tight to the touchline now is Zinchenko. Infield away from Antony. Saliba strides into the centre circle. Manchester United with pretty much everybody in red back behind the ball. Certainly everybody inside their own half right now as Ben White goes forward. This is Ødegaard at the time to turn. It's still a good 40-50 yards from goal as Granit Xhaka helps it on wider to the left hand side for Martinelli. Infield to Zinchenko. Antony blocking his path to goal. Lokonga to Ben White. Wide on the right is Saka. Malacia is with him. Bukayo Saka tries to step in field. Malacia sticking to his task but has brought him down. It's a free kick to Arsenal in dangerous territory just outside the penalty area.
Yeah, Malacia has really struggled. This has been a difficult game for him up against Saka. The Saka's moving him all over the place. He's not just being one-dimensional. He's actually taking him on the inside and he's trying to win the ball with Saka running on his inside. On his left foot, it's too far away for him to win the ball. He's just got to make him go across the pitch.
Well, we are going to see the first change of the game just before the hour, and it's the man whose goal is currently the difference. The goal who is separating the sides that makes way, and I guess this is fitness related. This is the fact that he's only had a couple of training sessions. He didn't play the last two games for Ajax. Antony, who Manchester United hope will be a big part of their future, is off, I should say. Cristiano Ronaldo, who has been a big part of what has gone before, and hopes that he can still have a part to play this season. He is on. Big change that. First though, the free kick for Arsenal, in by Ødegaard. Out by McTominay as far as the far side of the penalty area, where Saliba is battling forward against Rashford. He'll get the ball back. And Saliba from Granit Xhaka. Dalot got a foot in just to nick it out of play.
So what happened now, I'd imagine, is that Rashford will go in the wide area to the right hand side, or maybe Sancho will go to the right, I should say, and Rashford to the left hand side. Maybe Rashford will get more joy and feel more comfortable being there.
A little bit of switching around with the introduction of Cristiano Ronaldo just before the hour. Only started there once in the Premier League this season, that 4-0 defeat at Brentford. Otherwise it's been a substitute's role for him. That pattern continuing today, but he is into the action. Arsenal on the ball though with White. Bukayo Saka wide right. White's continued his run. Saka tries to return it to him, and it's just gone beyond the byline. It was a good idea from Arsenal. You could certainly see what they were trying, but again, it's those small margins that we've touched on fairly frequently.
Yeah, Saka saw that. It just took Ben White a fraction too long to read what Saka was going to do. Saka wanted to do that, but it needed Ben White to actually say, do it. And by the time he's realised it was too late, he was easily shut off.
Only had a split second, really, didn't they? Here's Odegaard slipping it through towards Gabriel Jesus. It will break for Saka, and he scores! The goal that Arsenal have been threatening. They're back on terms at Old Trafford. A first of the season for Bukayo Saka. He's the one that found the finish. Again, Jesus was involved in the creation of the opportunity. The Gunners will argue it had been coming. And with an hour played in Manchester, it's 1-1.
Yeah, I won't be arguing, because it definitely has been coming. It's just the way they've played. They put Manchester United under pressure. United weren't getting the ball forward. They weren't getting into the attacking third. They weren't putting any passes together because Arsenal were working hard to close them down. And I knew that Saka somewhere along the line would be involved. And for him to go and score as well, he deserves it, because he's been the best player in his second half, definitely for Arsenal anyway. Jesus, the runs he makes, the man is just so unselfish in the work he puts in. He doesn't go and try and get hold of that ball. It doesn't go out towards Saka.
Mikel Arteta celebrates wildly on the sidelines. Bukayo Saka scores for the first time in 11 Premier League appearances since his penalty against Manchester United on the 23rd of April. He was in the perfect place there. And what a last half an hour we have on our hands here now. Will either team gamble and try and turn 1 point into 3?
I just think somewhere along he might need another substitution to try and get a bit of fluency in that midfield. Casemiro, I think again, will have to come off the bench, and he's got to look at maybe just getting something stable in the middle of that park, because it's definitely not there at the moment.
There's Sambi Lokonga for Arsenal. They'll come again. Granit Xhaka to Bukayo Saka. Just held up by Alessandro Martinez, helped it on towards Xhaka again. He can't force away beyond Varane. De Gea comes and gathers. But it's Arsenal who have all the momentum right now.
Oh, they certainly do. They've had it from the moment the second half kicked off. I was wondering how United were going to approach this second half, and I think I've got what I was thinking it was going to be. I was a little bit not sure about how they were going to deal with the situation of coming out the second half and being 1-0 up. And I think they've just sat back and they've allowed Arsenal to play. And we've seen already when Arsenal start playing, they're decent. They move the ball very quickly. They've got a clever player in Odegaard as well, who can find the pass. Saka is now making runs inside of Malacia, and Malacia doesn't know how to defend it. He needs help now from Martinez to actually just to say, you take Saka in there, I'm not going to move my position, because there's big gaps on that side of the park.
Well, Arsenal did come from behind to beat Fulham a couple of games ago to keep their winning start to the season going. And they are hopeful here of doing so again at Old Trafford. Here they come again. Jesus and Saka combine once more. There was an important challenge this time by Malacia, who got a foot in. Christian Eriksen now will ping it forward. And the opportunity may be for Manchester United. Marcus Rashford may well have been offside. And after he was forced wide by Gabriel, the flag has gone up.
Yeah, you could see he's offside. He's made the run far too early, and they've just held a line. They haven't gone with him. A lovely pass it was though from Eriksen.
A hit from deep inside his own half, and they're thwarted by the flag. 1-1, 63 minutes played on Premier League Live. Arsenal having won just once in the last 15 visits to Old Trafford. This is Martinelli trying to force his way through. His cross deflects off Dalot, goes behind for the corner kick.
Yeah, they're just they're just cutting through the defence so many times. They've been cut through this back four so many times in one game. Never happened in the previous 3. They've defended really well, but just the cleverer players with better movement causing a problem.
Corner is taken short in towards Zinchenko. Fourth Arsenal corner. We haven't seen one for Manchester United yet. That one's whipped in but headed away by Martinez. Out as far as Sambi Lokonga, who's going to come under pressure from Cristiano Ronaldo. Back it goes to Ramsdale. He's cutting a solitary figure inside his own half. The goalkeeper all in yellow. It's decent distance on his clearance up towards the opposing penalty area. And Arsenal usually find a way to at least score against Manchester United. They've done so now in 16 of the last 17 meetings between the clubs. The only exception, the goalless draw at the Emirates in January of last year. But will we see further drama today? Let us know your thoughts if you're bold enough to predict which way it's going to go in the closing stages. At TalkSport Live is our Twitter address. I'd love to hear from you. Arsenal may be looking the more likely at the moment, but Erik ten Hag is planning further changes. He has already brought on Cristiano Ronaldo. No sooner had Antony gone off with his goal separating the sides than his goal no longer separated the sides. And another switch is imminent, but Arsenal have possession over on the far side. Martin Ødegaard. Back it goes to halfway. And Gabriel Saliba. And they've got plenty of time on the ball in this part of the pitch. The Gunners advancing now into the Manchester United half again. But Sambi Lokonga gets it back from Ødegaard. At least that was the intention. Ronaldo had other ideas. It will eventually reach Lokonga, not quite as intended, and Jesus couldn't control the ball that was prodded forward towards his path. Christian Eriksen infield to Bruno Fernandes. Rashford is on the move through the middle. It's a brilliant ball that's found him. Big chance here for Rashford, and he scores, and the Manchester United lead is rapidly restored. Rashford with the goal. Brilliant ball that found him though from Bruno Fernandes, who played an equally big part in a massive Manchester United goal. How they needed that. They're back in front with 20 minutes of this second half played.
Well, if we said it was like totally out of context of the way the game was going, I think we'll be 100% right, because that's come from nowhere, to be honest. Rashford has come from nowhere in his game so far. He's just his first, that's his big moment, and he's come around and he's actually not fluffed his line. He's got the ball into the back of the net, and he makes his run early, very early, goes in between the full-back and the centre half, and I'll tell you what, it's a good finish in the end. It's Bruno's early pass with the outside of his right foot leaves Rashford running straight down the middle of the goal, and finishes it really well with his right foot.
A goal and an assist for Rashford today. He is starting to rack up the numbers again, maybe. It's been a while since he's been able to say that. And so important for Manchester United, having conceded that equalising goal and been under pressure, that they were able to respond in the manner that they have here. It has the feeling of a huge moment in the game,
yeah,
and potentially the season.
It was needed as well.
Well, the changes were being planned by Erik ten Hag, and they are happening here in the immediate aftermath of the goal. Jadon Sancho has made way for Fred. Now that they have a lead to protect, they were bringing on Fred anyway. I think he was receiving instructions a few minutes ago, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, it's still, even though they've scored, they still need to get a bit of order in the middle of the park. Because again, you would expect Arsenal to come back and try and keep the same pattern of play going. Might be different now. Fred's on because he's quicker, his feet are quicker, he can get closer to people.
Well, Marcus Rashford announced his arrival, as we mentioned, in the first half with 2 goals in his Premier League debut against Arsenal. Back in February of 2016, that was. He hadn't scored against them since until today. Manchester United lead again, and we reach the midway point of the second half at Old Trafford. 2-1 to the home team. As Ben White goes back to his goalkeeper, Ramsdale is able to clear right-footed. He's got a huge purchase on that clearance, but Varane was underneath it when it came down. And it will be returned back up the other end. Cristiano Ronaldo putting it out of play, flag going up anyway. And what a closing quarter to come. Arsenal have responded once. Big ask for them to do so again. But they were looking, as we mentioned just minutes earlier, maybe the likelier winners. They have to deal with that disappointment, don't they? And psychologically, that could be tough for the next few minutes.
Yeah, I think they were a little bit shell-shocked by that, because they was getting in the comfort zone and the game was definitely going their way.
It shows the quality, doesn't it, that Manchester United have in this squad as Ramsdale comes under pressure. It breaks for Bruno Fernandes. The goalkeeper spreads himself, makes himself big, at the feet of Fernandes to keep him out. Still maybe an opportunity here. Ronaldo helping it on towards McTominay, and the sliding challenge from Gabriel, who had to get that right, and did, with no margin for error. But Manchester United for a moment were almost out of sight. Ramsdale had been closed down by Ronaldo. He put the pressure on. It fell at the feet of Bruno Fernandes, and the goalkeeper out quickly. Did well in the end to rectify the situation, I guess.
Well, that's the Arsenal of old that we remember from previous seasons, getting himself in trouble like that. We hadn't seen that all through the way they defended, and it's just happened in this moment of concern for them.
Now the corner kick, Ronaldo got his head to it as Eriksen delivered it from the right, couldn't quite divert it goalwards. Touch off an Arsenal head as well, takes it away from the target, but it's kept in play by Bruno Fernandes on the touchline. The Manchester United left, infield from Fred to Lisandro Martinez, inside the Arsenal half still, forward by Malacia. This is Fernandes on the flank. Goes back again to Martinez as we head towards the last 20 minutes. His crossfield ball is aimed in the direction of Christian Eriksen. And Granit Xhaka gets plenty of purchase on the header all the way back actually to Ramsdale. Well, a third Manchester United goal at this stage, and it would be very difficult to see Arsenal coming back from. But as I was mentioning, if Erik ten Hag can get this team organised, get a bit of confidence back in them, that the quality is undoubted in the squad. They've got some defending to do here. Saka in towards Martin Ødegaard. Good challenge though, and Bruno Fernandes comes away with the ball. Fred helps it on to Marcus Rashford wide on the left hand side. Shifts it infield, little flick for Ronaldo, but it's taken off McTominay, and then a wrestling match going on. Scott McTominay is always going to see yellow for that.
It seems like
blatant
obligatory yellow card every time for Scott McTominay, every time he plays. Look, that's absolutely ridiculous. That is shocking. There's a foul and there's a wrestling foul, isn't there?
It's very much the term, isn't it?
Yeah.
So McTominay does go into the book.
It's his fourth booking
already.
Yeah.
It's only the sixth game of the season, isn't it? Here come Arsenal now with Martinelli looking for Gabriel Jesus. Bounces back to him, a little fortunately perhaps. Brilliant effort. It was watched wide by De Gea, but I'm not sure he was getting it. Jesus' reaction tells the story as he puts his hands to his head here. His first touch saw him turn away from Varane. Whipped the shot goalwards.
Oh, no. He was not going. He wasn't going. He was never going to get to it either.
He would have been nowhere near it, would he, De Gea?
It's just amazing how much they've paid for him, Arsenal. They've got an absolute bargain there. What all-round centre forward he is.
He wanted to be the main man, I think, didn't he? Which he never quite was under Pep Guardiola at Manchester City. Mikel Arteta has afforded him that opportunity and is reaping the rewards. But wide it went ultimately from Jesus. Arteta is readying changes. Arsenal on the attack again. Ødegaard looking for Saka. Malacia got there first. Martinez didn't quite find touch with the clearance because Marcus Rashford actually kept it in and helped it on towards halfway. It's back over the head of Christian Eriksen, though. It's an errant touch from Sambi Lokonga. And Bruno Fernandes again able to ping the pass, and this time get Ronaldo in behind the Arsenal defence. Wide on the left hand side, hoists the cross high, and ultimately it's unthreatening as it bounces behind and out for the goal kick.
Yeah, there was no need for Ronaldo to rush that in the end. He could have just kept possession there. But he's decided to put the ball in. He's put behind. I think he might have just been offside if there'd actually been any progression from there, if he'd kept the ball on the park. He's gone with his left foot looking for the cross. Didn't really have to do that. I'm surprised he did.
Looks like 3 Arsenal changes are imminent. Mikel Arteta continuing to issue the last minute instructions before making those substitutions. Chasing the game, trying to avoid their first defeat of the season, which is less than 20 minutes plus added time away now. And this will be the chance to make those changes for the Gunners' boss. So Emil Smith-Rowe is going to come on for Martin Ødegaard. That is the first of them. Ødegaard, who was a doubt for the game with an ankle injury, but I don't think this is fitness related. He has handed over the captain's armband by the looks of things to Granit Xhaka as he comes off here. Smith-Rowe yet to start this season. It's the 4th time we've seen him from the subs bench. Fabio Vieira is going to come on for a debut as well. The £34 million signing from Porto in the summer, Portuguese under-21 international. He will take the place of Albert Sambi Lokonga in midfield. And Zinchenko, just back from that knee injury, is the final player to be withdrawn. And it's Cedric, rather than Kieran Tierney, that is coming on in his place.
No, that didn't look like Cedric.
In fact, it's not. Eddie Nketiah is the final change, so it's not a like for like at all.
No.
Nketiah is on, Fabio Vieira is on, and Smith Rowe is on. So is that going to be a change of shape?
It has to be. Look, has to be. They might just go to a three at the back. If you take off Zinchenko,
has to do something. Has to take a risk or two, maybe. Mikel Arteta. I'll tell you what, the 5 substitutions might have been pushed for by the Premier League managers, but it does nothing for commentators, does it? At this stage of the game. With 15 minutes of the 90 to play, plus added time. Manchester United 2, Arsenal 1 on Premier League Live. Antony on debut, Saka with the equaliser. The lead restored by Marcus Rashford for Manchester United. That one just runs away from Martinelli, out of play on the far side, the Arsenal left. As we wait and see exactly how this pans out, how they approach this closing quarter of an hour. And the other 2 changes were more like for like. Now there is space in behind for Eriksen. The flag has stayed down. Manchester United in again. Rashford in support and gets the touch to turn it in and maybe wrap up the win. Christian Eriksen was unselfish. He could well have taken that on himself, looking for his first goal in the red of Manchester United. Instead, he squared it to his left for Rashford, who's made 1 and now scored 2. 3-1 Manchester United. And is that all 3 points staying at Old Trafford? It's looking that way.
I think it is. It's just, again, I don't know what Arsenal are thinking about doing. I'm looking at Ben White. He's on his own. He's got to make the run. He's got to be willing to run, because he's tried to hold a line. And I mean, they would look at it. I mean, it'd be close, but I think it looks in favour of Manchester United. They've just made those substitutions as well, and it just totally kills that supposedly a tactical substitution is all falling out of bed.
Yeah, it's backfired potentially here. White went sliding in to try and deny Marcus Rashford, but ultimately unable to do so, ultimately in vain. And Rashford is all smiles. Building on that big goal that he scored here against Liverpool, with 2 more today. And Manchester United heading for a 4th straight win. And 4 successive home victories in the Premier League for the first time in the calendar year of 2022. There was a VAR check because of the potential offside. It didn't take too long, that one. All goals checked as a matter of course. That one stands. That one is seemingly significant, because for the first time today, Manchester United have a 2-goal cushion. And how they picked themselves up from that Arsenal equaliser and engineered a position of strength is certainly impressive, and certainly bodes well under Erik ten Hag. There was a yellow card, I think, in the aftermath of that goal going in for Gabriel Jesus, which I guess is one born out of frustration. And now it's Manchester United apparently readying a raft of changes to try and help them over the line. We're going to see Casemiro, but we're going to see some more as well, I think. This time it's Ten Hag with a lengthy lecture outlining what is to be expected. He's there with his notepad and pen, imparting those instructions before making the changes. As in front of him, Ben White takes the throw for Arsenal. Little touch in there for Eddie Nketiah. And now Granit Xhaka inside the centre circle, looking it wide left for Martinelli. Will reach it just ahead of Diego Dalot, and then whips it cross-field from left to right, looking for Saka. It's importantly cut out though by Manchester United, and Rashford applying the pressure on William Saliba, who gets the decision here, just in from the touchline.
I just think Arsenal have been their own worst enemies, really. When they got back in the game, they've given away 2 really sloppy goals. Both of them were finished well by Rashford, but there were 2 sloppy goals they gave away at crucial times. The goal straight after the substitutions, you know, and Ben White, they left themselves so sparse at the back. There was no need for him to do that at that moment.
Have they got anything left, Arsenal, here? Last dozen minutes of the 90. Gabriel Jesus, wide on the right-hand side, gets the cross in. There's a slight deflection on it. It was an unorthodox clearance, shall we say, from Lisandro Martinez in putting it straight back from whence it came. Might have hurt himself in the process. He's potentially feeling the pace a little bit. Rashford is down, feeling the back of his right thigh rather worryingly for the home team as well. It's just a case of cramp for either, or is there rather more to it?
I think he's holding his groin, saying there's something now. The clearance was a bit...
He was almost off the ground when he completed the clearance. Lisandro Martinez, he's helped back to his feet here. These changes were being planned anyway, so we'll see who's coming off. He's going to be one of them, I think. It might just be a case of not wanting to take a chance. Rashford has still got a bit of an issue. He's hitched the shorts up. He's going to come off as well. Certainly not an occasion to take any chances. So replacing Martinez at the heart of the defence will be Harry Maguire, who's lost his regular starting spot recently. We're going to see Casemiro as well. It might just be the two for now. Casemiro on for Marcus Rashford. With a little over 10 minutes to play. Manchester United 3, Arsenal 1. And that is an understandable one, I guess, taking off an attacker, particularly given the situation that Rashford found himself in. And bringing on an extra midfield player in Casemiro. Ben White's come off here for Arsenal. It was Takahiro Tomiyasu that's replaced him. That one like for like surely at right back, and Tomiyasu straight into the action by taking the throw. He was clattered then as the ball came back to him. Is able to release it. Smith Rowe helps it on towards Martinelli, left hand side of the penalty area. Dalot stood his ground though, got the challenge in, comes away with the ball after combining with Bruno Fernandes, and he's got space to surge into here down the right hand side. And then Diego Dalot with a cross-field pass for Christian Eriksen, who brings it down on his chest on the Manchester United left and nudges it infield for Malacia. He will get it back again. Two more of the summer signings combine, and now a third. Casemiro was caught in possession as Arsenal advance with Gabriel Jesus. He's away from Harry Maguire, and shove from behind from Maguire on Jesus, and he's been on the pitch, what, about a minute or so, and he's into the book already.
Oh, not really what he needed. He's just got caught cold. Casemiro didn't really want the ball that tight, maybe so early in the game, gets caught on the halfway line. Harry Maguire, and he didn't help himself, he snaps his foot out. And to be honest, Jesus was going square, he wasn't going forward, and he snaps a leg out. So it was definitely a deliberate foul he's done. That's why he's got the yellow early cards, really early.
Very early, wasn't it, for Harry Maguire? He's never actually finished on the winning side against Arsenal. 9 previous appearances in all competitions against the Gunners. He's come on to try and help Manchester United over the line here, but has landed himself with a little bit of an issue, and potentially his team as well, because the free kick is well within striking distance. Granit Xhaka is the one that's put the ball down and is going to take this. Manchester United with 4 in the wall, 3 Arsenal players alongside them. Involved in the conversation is the substitute Fabio Vieira as well. Fred is kneeling down as the extra insurance behind the wall. But Fabio Vieira is going to leave it to Granit Xhaka. Sizing this up just slightly to the right of centre as he looks at it. He's going to hit it left-footed. Big moment this, and it's straight at the top of the wall. Came off Casemiro, I think. And where will it fall? First of all, Maguire underneath it. Didn't get a definitive touch to it. Varane did, trying to reach touch. And Xhaka, in trying to keep it in play, has actually presented that to Fred, and he in turn feeds the through ball towards the run of Cristiano Ronaldo, who almost got to that, would have done but for Ramsdale. The goalkeeper quickly out to the edge of his area, and it's all stemmed from Granit Xhaka slipping, misjudging it. He wasn't prepared to let the ball go out for what would have been an Arsenal throw, and it wasn't a bad ball actually from Fred towards Ronaldo, who bellows in frustration that he was beaten to it by Ramsdale.
Close, not close enough though for Ronaldo to get there. I think Fred could have been maybe better. He needed a little bit more curve on it, and there was plenty of space for him to do that.
Granit Xhaka will be breathing a sigh of relief, won't he? Arsenal need that urgency though, but in taking risks they are leaving themselves susceptible to even further damage. They'd only conceded 4 goals through their first 5 fixtures of the Premier League season. But 3 here at Old Trafford today has them heading, it would appear, for a first defeat of the season. They will still be top of the table. They are top for the first time since December of 2016. This time of the year, last season, they were bottom after 3 straight defeats without a goal. Mikel Arteta and his team have come a long way since then, and that offers a little bit of perspective, I guess, but it won't detract from the disappointment that they will feel should this finish as it is. There is Smith Rowe, infield to Gabriel, and back again, Emil Smith Rowe. Here is Gabriel. Manchester United, understandably, at this stage, in this situation, with plenty back. Jesus looking for Nketiah. And down he goes, with Maguire in the vicinity again. On goes the play, at the instruction of Paul Tierney. Jesus dinked it in. Nketiah had made the run. He got to it ahead of Maguire, but never quite had it under control off the chest.
It was a lovely little pass it was to him as well, from Jesus, and I think Harry Maguire just got there at the right time. A fraction late, and it could have been a good chance of being a penalty.
Yeah, it was close, wasn't it? Here's Malacia in field. Touch for Casemiro to Harry Maguire. He's going to go all the way back again to David De Gea, and Nketiah will chase him down. Arsenal still working hard. Not entirely given this up, but it's looking a fairly forlorn chase. Back-to-back home wins for Manchester United will make such a difference to the mood in this part of Manchester. Here goes Saka with a crossfield ball to Martinelli. Reaches it just ahead of Bruno Fernandes. There's Gabriel Martinelli. Goes again back in field. Gabriel pinging it forward first time. There's a touch for Jesus, and there was a sight of goal for Fabio Vieira on debut. Familiar name, of course, evoking plenty of memories in this fixture. Vieira at Old Trafford for Arsenal, but that one was always comfortably clearing the crossbar.
Everything was right, just the connection. I mean, the shape of his body was right. Everything, he just didn't connect with it properly. Just went too high, ballooned a little bit. Jesus just touched it to him. Didn't have to. He could have maybe taken it on himself.
And there were other options, weren't they? The final 5 minutes now of the 90. Time is rapidly running out for the Gunners. Manchester United 3, Arsenal 1. Brighton 5-2 winners against Leicester in the early kick-off. That's the second game of the day in the Premier League. And a hugely significant scoreline at Old Trafford right now. Saka waiting to take the throws. He's going to leave it for Tomiyasu. He is. The substitute will do so instead. And gets the ball back. Now Fabio Vieira keeps it in. He's under pressure though from Christian Eriksen. Takes the throw quickly this time. Jesus tries to chest it down for Saka. Fabio Vieira to Tomiyasu. Saka's continued his run and he's got in behind Malacia as he brings the ball down. Malacia halting his progress somewhat. Cross cut out by Casemiro. Back for Saka to maybe have another go. Still just outside the penalty area, and there's no way beyond Malacia. Maybe it's not just time that Arsenal are running out of. Lack of ideas at times in the final third of late. Malacia caught late. He just released the ball a fraction before he was caught, and because of that the card is coming out again from Paul Tierney. They are just beginning to mount up late in the match. Saka into the book this time.
It was an obvious one. He just totally that was just sheer frustration there from Saka. He knew exactly what he's doing. He followed through. Lucky enough, I have to say, Malacia had both his feet off the floor. He was just on the verge of trying to get up.
And he is still down as a result of the challenge. But Manchester United in no rush right now. For them it is about holding what they have. It would be only a second win in the last 9 meetings against the Gunners, but back-to-back home wins for them in this fixture. No team have won more Premier League matches against Arsenal down the years than Manchester United. They would move above Liverpool in that statistic today. It would be their 26th such success. And a 4th win in a row for Erik ten Hag. It's only a couple of weeks ago, really, 2 or 3 weeks ago, that they were 4-0 behind at half-time against Brentford, and people were talking about it being the impossible job. He's made a decent fist of it, Ten Hag, in turning around that perception pretty quickly.
Well, I think we have to talk about the players he's brought in, players that he knows, and players that will make or change a dressing room.
Which is a huge part of the job, really, isn't it?
Yeah, they've come in, the players who are playing out this moment in time, and what they've done is a few of the players have had to change their attitudes. So they're bringing out the best of what they've got and getting it back to some of those players.
And they were noticeably outrun, weren't they? The stats were damning in that Brentford game, and he had them back on the training ground the next morning, making up for that, Erik ten Hag. And they've not looked back since in terms of results. And the difference, I think, the Liverpool win here made, but the victories against Southampton and Leicester City on their travels as well. Now Manchester United do have a little bit of momentum before the start of their continental commitments in the Europa League. They are just a minute plus added time away from being able to celebrate the win here. Martinelli drifting infield, going down, wins the free kick inside the centre circle. There might be that sense for Arsenal of what if the Martinelli goal had stood in the first half. It seems a long time ago now, a lot of incidents since. Arsenal went in behind, undid the damage, and were looking on top at one stage, looking to force the win before that double from Marcus Rashford has taken it away from them at Old Trafford. There is Fabio Vieira. Gets the ball back from Saka as they combine down the right hand side, then thinks in a dangerous ball with the left foot, and McTominay had to take evasive action under pressure about 6 yards from his own goal.
It was evasive action, it was a lucky one as well. He didn't know where that ball was going to go, and his face said it all when he blew his cheeks out.
He had Martinelli just behind him as well, waiting to profit if he hadn't been able to get anything on it. Swings it away for the corner kick, and the 90 minutes are up. About to find out how much added time there will be as this corner kick comes into the heart of the penalty area, out as far as Vieira, who's miskicked it, and he swung his left boot at it, and Manchester United will break. 4 added minutes. Vieira had got back and was able to win it in the air. Gabriel Jesus advancing with support from Saka outside of him to his right. Jesus held up round about the corner of the penalty area, and then Casemiro got a foot in. Fred can't keep it in play. Jesus will chase after it to retrieve the ball as quickly as possible, displaying the urgency required. But is there the conviction from Arsenal in this situation? Granit Xhaka forward. They are still knocking on the door in search of something. Gabriel Martinelli, left side of the penalty area. Diego Dalot stands off him, tries to prevent the cross from coming. Instead it's back to Gabriel. He will swing it in, left footed. Should be dealt with by Malacia just inside his own penalty area, and heads towards the byline before completing the clearance, left footed to the halfway line, where Saliba beats Ronaldo to it, fends him off, and goes back to Ramsdale.
Done his job there. Ronaldo got there and forced him to go all the way back to the keeper.
Now Bukayo Saka, the man who scored the equalising goal for Arsenal, teasing it into the penalty area. Little glance in the referee's direction, no more than that from those in black, as Arsenal still press and probe here. It was Jesus, it broke for Smith Rowe. He struck it first time as he swung that right boot at the ball. It clears the crossbar. Another half chance really comes and goes.
Come about from Ronaldo's supposed chest ball, and he shouldered it straight into the path of an Arsenal player who set up Smith Rowe, and Smith Rowe's pulled it over.
Maybe actually a bit more than a half chance, but he didn't really make it look that way, did he? It was a fairly casual swing of the boot, and it was always comfortably clearing the crossbar and never coming down quickly enough. Halfway through the 4 added minutes. 3-1 Manchester United. Arsenal's first defeat of the new season is imminent here. David De Gea understandably taking his time. Aims the free kick towards Cristiano Ronaldo, gets the flick on. Fred away from Tomiyasu. Bruno Fernandes, far side, will reach it and tries to return it. He had Ronaldo calling forward in the middle, but it's cut out by Gabriel, who bundles it behind, and Ronaldo kicks out at the post in frustration because he would have had a tap in.
He would have had a tap in, and Fred's done really well there. Initially I thought Fred was going to shoot, and it was a terrible angle to be shooting from, and he pulls it across the front of the 6-yard box, goes to the back, and then Fernandes was trying to get his compatriot in as well, trying to find him, and he tried to go through Gabriel.
Hit the trailing right boot really of the Brazilian defender, didn't it, on its way behind. But Bruno Fernandes was certainly trying to to pick out his fellow Portuguese. Christian Eriksen is going to take the corner kick. And the referee
a
yellow card here, I think. Yeah, maybe for Bruno Fernandes. Is the corner kick in from Eriksen towards Cristiano Ronaldo. Couldn't quite make it stick. Under pressure, he was outnumbered. Gabriel Jesus inside his own penalty area is able to first of all bring it under control, then loft it long towards Eddie Nketiah, who will put the pressure on Malacia, who stands firm on the edge of his box, waiting for the bouncing ball and fending off Nketiah. Only cleared as far as Granit Xhaka, though it might come back here. It's Fabio Vieira to have a hit as he tried to connect with the left-footed shot. It was on target, but I think that's about all you can say of it, really. It was straight at the goalkeeper, and it's probably Arsenal's last shot at goal.
Yeah, I think so. Now that's the game flat now. Once I imagine now, De Gea would just take this. He's put the ball down on the floor. He'll just go up and he must be blowing it shortly.
It's a significant win for Manchester United. It's a fourth successive win for them in the Premier League for the first time since April of last year. Back-to-back victories at Old Trafford for the first time in 2022. But a first defeat of the Premier League season, first drop points of the Premier League season for Arsenal after 5 straight wins. Their sequence ends at Old Trafford today. 2 Marcus Rashford goals ultimately proving the difference. Antony had scored on debut. Bukayo Saka got Arsenal back on terms on the hour. But it's Manchester United who have gone on to win it full time at Old Trafford. Manchester United 3, Arsenal 1. Challenge on halfway on. Christian Eriksen goes unpunished, and here comes the counter-attack. It slipped through for Martinelli. Gabriel Martinelli scores for Arsenal. Fine first-time left-footed finish across the goalkeeper, and the league leaders into the lead at Old Trafford.
It's a free kick, as simple as that. We know 99 times out of 100 when they go there, they are going to change it.
He has come to the monitor, Paul He's been instructed to do so. Martin Odegaard is the player penalised. The goal is disallowed. It took a little while, but I think this time we've seen VAR come to the correct conclusion. Now Marcus Rashford helps it on for Antony. On debut, scores for Manchester United. The new boy announces his arrival at Old Trafford already with a calm, composed finish across the keeper, in at the far corner, having popped up in the perfect place to finish it off. Even though here's Odegaard slipping it through towards Gabriel Jesus. It will break for Saka, and he scores the goal that Arsenal have been threatening. They're back on terms at Old Trafford. Into Bruno Fernandes. Rashford is on the move through the middle. It's a brilliant ball that's found him. Big chance here for Rashford, and he scores, and the Manchester United lead is rapidly restored.
Bruno's early pass with the outside of his right foot leaves Rashford running straight down the middle of the goal. Finishes it really well with his right foot.
Space in behind for Eriksen. The flag has stayed down. Manchester United in again. Rashford in support and gets the touch to turn it in and maybe wrap up the win. Who's made one and now scored 2. 3-1 Manchester United. And is that all 3 points staying at Old Trafford? It's looking that way. And it certainly was, as it turned out, vital victory for Manchester United. They march on, bouncing back brilliantly from those back-to-back defeats they suffered at the start of the season. And Arsenal dropping points for the first time this term. Plenty of moments, Paul Parker, for Arsenal to reflect on and think what might have been, how this could have been a very different type of day. It's a first significant setback, though, isn't it, this season? It'll be fascinating to see how they respond from it.
That's certainly right, and I think there's a lot of people looking at it, and when you know about when people talk about Arsenal, there's always doubts, and they really did believe the way they've started, a lot of them, that this could be their season to go and have a really good season, and they've still got their weaknesses there. The highlight of their everything is surrounding the man they signed from Man City. You know, if they lose him for a few games, I think we'll see Arsenal go back to how they were before, and similar. He makes such a difference all over the park, and this game ran away from him. I just think straight after getting themselves back into it, they gave away a sloppy, gave United an opportunity to get further in front. And the substitutions at that given time, was it really needed to go and make 3 substitutions like that? It just, and straight away what happens, it killed us. They scored straight away to finish the game off.
Yeah, with hindsight, it was a costly one for Arsenal, wasn't it? Manchester United up to 5th in the Premier League, and I think if you said at half-time when they were 4 behind against Brentford in the second game of this season, they'd be 3 points off top spot 6 games in. Not many people would have believed you, but they are on the march at the moment. Erik ten Hag's team. It's pretty much all we have time for. Paul